gospel today, it begins with the disciples approaching Jesus and saying to him, Lord, increase our faith, please. Now, it really is an understandable request, especially with what Jesus was teaching and what he was doing. He taught, love your enemies, bless those who curse you, forgive when it's not deserved, give without expecting anything in return, be ready to take up your cross. But Jesus, he responds to the disciples' request with a touch of, I think, irritation. And he tells them, you know, guys, if you had the faith of a mustard seed, you could take this mulberry tree and uproot it and replant it in the seed. It would obey you. And then he proceeds to ask them whether a servant would be so casual as to demand a meal with his master or a special praise for doing the basic household duties. Now, that may strike us as a little odd because we know Jesus wasn't in the habit of speaking unkindly about slaves or those in low status. But we have to keep in mind that throughout the gospel, Jesus reserves his criticisms for the proud and those people who need to be brought down a peg or two. So I think it is safe to say that there must have been an element of pride or entitlement at work in the disciples' request to Jesus. And I wonder if we don't get a little better clue as to what was in that strange request by Jesus, that image of the mulberry tree being uprooted and then planted in the ocean. I mean, imagine a mulberry tree flying through the air and plop, being replanted in the ocean. What on earth is that all about? Well, I wonder if Jesus was gently, playfully poking fun at the disciples and their ongoing preoccupation with the flashy signs and wonders as a measure of faith. The signs and wonders that are performed by Jesus and described in our Gospels, they always had a point. They always were constructive. They healed. They liberated. They multiplied. They fed. They blessed. They restored. And they comforted. They pointed to the mission of Jesus and the purpose of the kingdom that he was opening up to his disciples. And these stories remind us all of our own call to heal, to liberate, to multiply, to feed, to bless, to restore, and to comfort. Faith, after all, is a gift. And none of us have any business telling God that we don't have enough. God always gives us enough. Enough to do something useful and to make it work. Maybe the mistake of the disciples, maybe it isn't in so much asking for faith, but thinking that they don't have enough. Thinking that God's gift to them was insufficient. How easy it is for all of us to think that we don't have enough. These guys were in the presence, the real presence of Jesus, and still they felt they didn't have enough. We're not so much unlike the disciples, are we? How often we tell ourselves, if I only had more faith, I could do something important. I could do something impressive. I'd never struggle with doubt. I'd finally be appreciated. I'd finally know that I'm right. You know, last week we celebrated the feast of Teresa of Lisieux, whose famous little way inspired generations of Christians to honor God in the little things of our faith. By taking her faith one step at a time, Teresa talked about the smallness of her own faith, but she never questioned God's goodness or fairness in giving her what she had. Teresa, who did become St. Teresa of Lisieux, Peter, Paul, Mary Magdalene, St. Francis, Dr. King, Teresa of Calcutta, Nelson Mandela, you and I, we all share the same master. And that master gives each of us all the faith that we need to be faithful. So even if it's the size of a mustard seed, make it work. Our Lord gives us the answer. Take what God has given you in your life and get involved. Go beyond the call of duty. Give more of yourself than just the minimal requirement here at church or out in the world. And discover what Jesus told his disciples. If you want increased faith, increase your